How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.
Definitely, well, of course, it had to happen. 683 days later, MS Dhoni returns as captain of the Chennai Super Kings. It couldn't be at a time that's more challenging, more demanding, as the Super Kings have started this IPL underwhelmingly. 1 win out of 5 up against them. KKR, 2 wins out of 5. That is the game we build up to at the Chepauk, with so much on the line and such a big narrative and storyline to cover, with Ruturaj Gaikwad out. And who else but MS to replace him? This is Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout. Welcome back, Matt Roller. Good to still have Sanjay Bangar. But could both of you join me in welcoming, for the first time on the Cricket Info couch, Danny Morrison.
Gentlemen, good to see you. And you're back from holiday, are you?
My night's not a holiday. My night's off on Juhu Beach. It was very enjoyable.
Yeah, your night off is the day that MS decides to come back as captain. And you were just nicely sipping away. We just saw Ravi Shastri do the toss at the Chepauk. But since I have you here, I feel disappointed. I wish you were there. As much as I love Ravi's tosses, because they're a thing, an art in and of itself. But Danny, accomplished broadcaster that you are, give us a little taste of what that toss would have been like in Danny Morrison's style.
MSD, here are you. Good to see thee. I mean, it's just scripted for him, isn't it? I mean, this is, I mean, you couldn't script it any better in a way. I mean, I read bits and pieces online, of course, with Crick Info and Murphy's Law and all of that sort of thing. It doesn't get any worse. And here he is.
Yeah.
Perfectly.
That's what I'm thinking. Could this be perhaps the worst time to come back as captain? Because who knows how much life MS Dhoni still has in the IPL. Could this be his last season? Like Danny has asked him a few times, a long time ago, and we're still seeing him carry on, great man that he is. Or could this be the Messiah story? It's all going wrong. MS comes in and lifts them from 9th, 10th to the top 4.
Well, and you can always associate these stories with MS, because that's the kind of rustic feeling and the camaraderie that he builds around him. That he's that sort of a character, and I believe he had given up the India job once in 2016 or 2017, was it? And after that,
the Test captaincy, you're saying,
as well as the ODI captaincy, and we went to Asia Cup, and there was no designated vice captain, and Rohit missed a particular game. And there was a lot of chat and discussion amongst the support staff or the management as to who should be the captain. And eventually we went to MS Dhoni as a captain, and he quietly said that I was on 199 matches as the ODI captain.
Yes.
This is going to be my 200. So you will always have a tale to tell around MS Dhoni.
Wow, that's a story from India, from his India. I remember that game, one-off game where he came in as captain. It had the crowd just falling in love, which I can only imagine happens again. What are your interactions of him, what we don't get to see, Danny? We get to see your tosses and presentations and whatnot, but you've been with the IPL from the beginning. As is MS Dhoni, that club's getting smaller and smaller with every passing year. But what do you know, what are your stories of him?
Well, apart from amazing that he's gone on so long, producers over the years of the IPL have said, mate, this man, so charismatic, and just lifts the whole thing. He could so easily be in Bollywood. I mean, he could have these walk-in parts and just do his thing because he's so cool, right? Mine has to go back to, and we were chatting earlier, the days when you could sit down with 2 chairs in a day game of having a coin toss, and I used to introduce him as my millionaire butler. And he played it beautifully. So my producer, Aussie guy, just said, look, can we ham this up? Can we actually have a little bit of theatre? So we had the cheerleaders fanning us. Right. And then I'm sitting in one of the deck chairs. There's an empty deck chair. And then he comes and I said, oh, MS, look at you. And he comes in with a tray and everything with an orange juice. Comes with a whole orange juice, sits down, only you, dear fellow, and sat down. And we just had this ball and a chat. And then we had to get up and obviously get on with the serious thing. Doing the toss.
Did he have the whole CSK kit on, or did he have the butlers?
No, we'd like to, but
man.
He wasn't quite up for that. It was a day game, right? A little bit sweaty, nasty.
But always pleasant, good to talk to.
And the other thing that, and I hate doing it, and the other people are close to, and you see around on the circuit, there was another chaps in Guyana of Indian origin, and daughter was having a birthday, and she'd been quite ill and sick and stuff, and been in hospital, whatever. And he said, please, I hate asking this, could you get MS to sign a shirt for me and his daughter. And bless MS, I just said, look, I know you get hassled a lot. You probably don't get many of these your playing shirts, and you've always got someone who wants them, right?
Yep.
So, but he did. Bless his soul. He signed it and he said, yeah, look, I'll do that. No problem. I asked him out in the middle before a toss. I think it was in Hyderabad one time, and I saw him in another game, a couple of 3 or 4 games later, and there it was, and I took it to going to the Caribbean League. Yeah, and
brilliant.
And the
It's
chef
memory forever, isn't it?
Yeah, and when you make people's day like that, of their life, you know, he was in tears that the guy I handed to and his daughter. Yeah.
What I'm looking forward to is now we're going to hear him at tosses and presentations. That always makes for fun when you do the jobs that we do, because there's so much more we get. Not just on comparison with Rutu, but with most captains, you will get the odd nugget from MS Dhoni. Right, give us your nugget of MS. I'm sure you've got a page dedicated to him, or at least a line. Cold man that you are, only wanting to talk about the game at hand. Yeah.
Well, he could obviously have bowed out on top, because the last game he captained for CSK was that final where Jadeja hit 10 off 2 off the last couple of balls in Ahmedabad. It was the game that I think spanned 3 days. They had the full washed out day, then it went past midnight the day after. But here he is, he's back again. And you know, to your point, I think it's that situation, isn't it? There's almost nothing to lose. If CSK don't make the playoffs this year, you know, their destiny was already sealed by a poor auction, all that sort of thing. If they do, it becomes the Dhoni redemption arc. He's won more games as captain than anyone else in the IPL's history, and you wouldn't bet on him. You wouldn't bet against him, I should say, winning a few more.
All right. Well, what I can tell you at the Chepauk is it's gone well to start with. He's lost the toss. KKR and Ajinkya Rahane are going to bowl first. And I can also tell you what MS Dhoni has said at the toss. He's saying we were looking to bat first. That's it. I love it. This is why I like MS back. Right. He says we were looking to bat first. Whistles blowing around the Chepauk. And so Dhoni comments on Ruturaj Gaikwad saying it's not nice to miss a player like him. He's got authentic cricket shots. The team will miss him. We won't be a side that will hit 5 or 6 sixes in the power play. But we are a side that will hit more boundaries. See, now that already is something to go with. You've got a mischievous face on. But what we did see in the last game at Mullapur, you were there, weren't you, at New Chandigarh, Sanjay Bangar, they found at least a foundation. They were hitting more boundaries. Matt brought up the fact that Punjab out-hit them in terms of sixes, and that cost them the game. But Dhoni's almost bringing that up as the identity of his strengths as a batting unit.
And at times, as a leader, you want to really tell the players or convey to them what their strength is, rather than saying that, okay, we did not hit enough sixes. And that's the point that every management or every captain, every leader wants to do, that he wants to look after the things that work for you, or the stronger areas of your gameplay. And that's what MS is doing it quite quietly. So it straight away takes the pressure off you not hitting that many sixes which were required to win a game at Punjab. But it keeps the players in a very good state of mind when they take on this game and when they come out to bat in this particular innings.
I was in tears watching the Guwahati because he got caught on the fence, right? And I know and even I love the fairy tale and his story and how it's gone. Like, he was caught out in the fence in a decent catch. Another night finds a gap there, right? And just had to club a couple more.
Yep.
And goodness God, get caught round the corner like he did.
Yeah, but Chahal,
and he got in the way.
Yeah.
Happy birthday. I mean, just unreal. And that could have just missed him and gone on, and who knows, right? That's the beauty of MS.
Oh, okay. So already MS Dhoni is talking up the team. It feels like a different CSK, but we can also tell you that it's a slightly different KKR side where Moeen Ali is playing. We'll first look at CSK and then have a look at the teams. Anshul Kamboj gets a game. Very impressive, highly rated fast bowler, featured a little bit for the Mumbai Indians, has gone with the India A side for the Challengers Asia Cup in Oman. Rahul Tripathi effectively to replace Ruturaj Gaikwad, but Mukesh Chaudhary goes out as well. Sanjay Bangar, Anshul Kamboj, like the change?
Yeah, I like the change, and what he'll give MS is that he'll give control, because Mukesh played a couple of games, he has the pace. Anshul made a little bit low on pace, but he's high on accuracy. Always will give you those length deliveries, and he will give the control which MS generally enjoys, because MS rarely wants to use spinners in the first 6 overs. He wants the pacers to be used as much as possible in the first 6 overs, and that's where I think he'll bowl out Anshul at least 3 overs in the first 6.
Batting first team which doesn't have Patirana, is it only a formality that he will indeed be the impact sub?
You'd think so, wouldn't you? I think they would have to have a serious collapse to be thinking about Overton, who's the other overseas option on that bench. So I'd think it would be Patirana who comes in. Yeah, I think the interesting one, you said batting first. First time Chennai have done that all season.
No, Rolly, you've mentioned an Englishman there. Funny that, isn't it? It just never stops.
That couch is reserved for Ian Bishop and Danny Morrison to just point out perhaps some patriotism in Matt Roller.
No, not at all. We won't hear any of that from Danny when he talks about the opening pair either, with the Kiwis.
Let's talk about Conway and Rachin.
Oh, South African chap, no stop. He won't mind. He won't mind DC. But yeah, it's fallen nicely for him, isn't it? So he has to. Sad for, obviously.
I guess the question is whether you break that opening pair up actually and put Tripathi up there. We've been talking about Conway and Rachin not quite looking as threatening as previous seasons. Sanjay's already nodding his head, so let me go there first.
I think the conversation was not about them batting at the top together. It was about why Ruturaj was at 3.
Correct.
So we were trying to make a case for somehow getting Ruturaj back to opening the innings. But here they presented it with an opportunity. Last match they had a wonderful partnership at the top of the order. So I don't think they'll like to change that. And Rahul Tripathi hasn't really looked as if he's going to take on the new ball. And for him, batting at 3 could be an ideal situation wherein his game against spinners and more so he spent a little bit of a time in the KKR camp as well. So that familiarity with playing Varun as well as Sunil could be an advantage for him.
KKR's team, one change. Moeen Ali returns, having first replaced Sunil Narine when he was ill against Rajasthan, then playing the game against the Sunrisers and not batting or bowling. Here he is now replacing Spencer Johnson. Yes. The one thing common with Moeen Ali and the KKR side, Matt Roller, is
that in every game Moeen Ali has played, KKR have won. And in every game Moeen Ali hasn't played, KKR have lost. And you might say he didn't face a bull or bowl a ball in one of those wins, but he's the lucky charm. He's a vibes guy, Moeen, towards the end of his career.
That's the value of having Englishmen everywhere.
Sack him, get rid of him now.
We flew you all the way down across the United Kingdom to here because of your wisdom on analysis and stats and matchups. And you say Moeen Ali is their lucky charm.
Absolutely.
Give me more, Matthew.
Gut feeling.
Why don't you give me more on Chennai's batting? Because I think MS has set up this conversation. We are not a 6-hitting team, or at least in the power play, we're not. He himself is hitting them all right. But there is an issue with boundaries and their batting struggles in common, isn't there?
Well, there's an issue with their batting full stop, I think, this year. If you look at how they've gone in those run chases, even the first game of the season against MI, they sort of started okay in the power play, but ever since then their batting's not been great. And if you take a look at pretty much every metric you can think of statistically, they're ranking bottom of the league.
Lots of numbers. Help us understand them.
Yeah, so what we've got is you can see each of these, particularly, I think, stuff like power play run rate, which you can see highlighted in yellow, the balls per boundary, and you can see that in each of these metrics that's currently on the screen, they are the worst in the league out of the 10 teams. Some of the gaps, I think, are quite notable as well. So, for example, if you look at the middle overs at the bottom, Chennai are hitting 2 boundaries every 3 overs, and the best in the league, Lucknow, are hitting 3 boundaries every 2 overs, which shows just how stark a difference you've got in terms of scoring runs through the middle. That's obviously compounded by the fact the openers aren't starting particularly well, so you're getting players coming in earlier than they'd like to, and they're not doing particularly well in any single phase of the batting innings, effectively, is what this is showing.
Okay, but for me, because I'm less bright than you, Matt, all I can see there is that when it comes to anything, whether it's sixes, boundaries, overall run rate, power play, middle end, the rank is 10.
Yeah, there's not a lot
and it's
to
a
cling to.
10-team IPL. So basically, yeah, that's what it tells me now. Of course, Mr. Bangar and Mr. Morrison, I think, are more of your intellect than mine. But yeah, that's not a good stat. How do you change that, though? How do you make a team that's having such an all-round batting struggle play to a strength when the league seems to be at a different league?
Go, coach.
You require some of the top players to put their hand up and put up a show for the team, and that's how you get out of ruts like this. And that's where I think you are looking at somebody like a Rachin Ravindra, Devon Conway, as well as somebody like a Shivam Dube to really step up and make a mark. And some of the 6 hitting or the boundary hitting came from Shivam Dube in the last 2 seasons. It wasn't anybody else who was doing the job. You would still expect a Jadeja and a MS Dhoni to be quite efficient towards the end in their own particular methods, but it is the failure at the moment or the lack of scores from Shivam Dube, which is bringing all those percentages down to that
Yeah.
10th spot.
Hard to pin it on one man, you would think, and I know you would agree, but Conway is such a big player for them. And with Rachin at the top, is there a reason why the two Kiwis at the top haven't been what we think they're capable of? What Rachin was in the Champions Trophy, what Conway was in the past season? Danny?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It actually hasn't been a very good 12 months or so for him. You think way back, was it 23 World Cup here? I know it's 50 overs. They both got hundreds against good old England. But I had to bring that up. And that just came to me, sorry. But when I think about Conway, and then I saw him briefly in a tri-series, in early February. And so, again, he got an opportunity because poor Ratchie got hit in the head fielding, lost the ball and got... So he got an opportunity. So he got 90 odd there. He got out. Yeah, he got about 97. Got out.
That's right. Yeah.
So when I saw that, I thought, again, he's just one of those gritty guys that can do that. So this is a massive game, particularly for those two opening batters, two lefties from New Zealand, to go out and show what they can do, because man, they need it. They need it badly.
Yeah, and I think he's been around the block enough, but it's never nice to be retired out in your last innings. And here we have Devon Conway starting off. Will it affect him at all?
I don't think players are that emotional about it anymore.
Really?
Being retired out, it just, they're accepting it as a part of strategy. And that's how, if it had affected somebody like a Tilak, he wouldn't have come and played that innings at Wankhede, which he did against RCB. So, I don't think the players really worry about being retired or not. They just take it in their stride and focus on the next game.
Do you think it could even be a good thing for someone like Tilak? I thought when I saw that innings after Wankhede against RCB, I thought this guy looks like he's responding to having been retired out and trying to be ultra aggressive as a result in a positive way.
I mean, when he came into bat, the situation required him to bat in a particular fashion, and Devon Conway is at the top, so he'll have to set up the foundation. And because Dhoni has said what he said at the toss, already that would have been spoken about in the team meeting as to how they want to approach. And I don't really think that Conway will change his style of play.
What if he comes out today and smashes it at like a 200 strike rate, sixes everywhere? I know it's a possibility just because of all the storylines before this. May not be as easy against the type of spinners that KKR have at a Chepauk, which we expect to at least offer some assistance to them. That's at least what we got from combined wisdom of Deepdas Gupta and Matthew Hayden, where perhaps we're on a black soil surface, if I read that pitch report right. Now let's just have a look at the two spinners for KKR, where perhaps it's not been the same story for both Narayan and Varun Chakravarti. Varun has still been good, but Sunil Narayan, it seems, has not been the threat that he was. Reason for it? Anyone can think of why Varun's bowling a lot better this season than a Sunil Narayan?
There are phases. I mean, if you look at somebody like a Rashid Khan as well, he's played for such a long periods of time, been the man, then they tend to have some off games and they're allowed to have some off games, and it's too early to say that, okay, the season has been under par. So, by all the reports that we've seen, Sunil Narayan has spent an hour or so bowling at a single wicket, which clearly suggests that he too is quite focused on getting the job done for KKR.
Okay. Varun Chakravarti against the CSK batters. How does that pan out? I know he's got a good record against MS. He's spoken about it multiple times. Matt?
Yeah, well, Vijay Shankar is the one that's got after him a bit, as has Shivam Dube. So Shankar actually hit him for 3 sixes in an over in a game when he was playing for GT in 2023.
Ah, yes, I remember that, yeah.
And Dube as well has got after him, as he likes to, against the spinners. I was just thinking in terms of Rahane, he had the misfortune to miss that one game in Guwahati where it was really offering something for the spinners. So maybe his stats are slightly skewed because of the fact he's been bowling on short boundaries, flatter pitches. It's obviously so early in the year. But yeah, on Varun, you can see the matchups there. I think, he's clearly got the better of MS, but I'm sure I'll enjoy bowling at Chepauk as well as a guy from Tamil Nadu.
There is some familiarity between those two, but I think what CSK fans would hope was that Vijay Shankar plays for us like he played for GT. And that's how CSK's story is. Rahane comes there and has a second life, and Shivam Dube comes there and finds the love he doesn't find at other franchises. Why is it not happening this year? Deepak Hooda, Rahul Tripathi, Vijay Shankar, and whether it can change just by something like MS Dhoni talking to you beforehand.
I think it gets blown out of proportion that, somebody just talking to you makes a massive difference.
Right.
I think it's the players who will have to really introspect and get that inner voice or get the confidence going. And it can happen with a 20 of scored of 10 balls. And you just want to have that sort of an inning which can flip the form or the way the season has panned out.
You've seen a lot of Chennai games at the ground over the years, and we tend to also say that certain things that a captain does on the field, which sometimes we don't get on television, Danny, how certain players feel, what the body language is, what the energy is. I think there are numbers that back Ashwin and Jadeja being far better under Dhoni than under any other captain. But if you have to try and think of all those years of watching CSK live and whether something stands out in terms of when MS led, or is that again much more done here than actually on the ground?
Yeah, and I just also think when you watch him particularly, and it's great for us, a privileged position of watching the comments, and then you're watching the fielders, how much they look at him, and they do have to, right? And coaches always think, for goodness sake, it's so noisy, don't have the captain stressing about trying to yell at you and take 5 gestures to get you to move. But you just want, everyone's on point. And so I'll be fascinated with this game tonight to see how that vibe is around and everyone paying attention, and then him just, because he does, he subtly tweaks, doesn't he? Just gives it the old, and he looks over there, just that there, and the guy's about to run and move. It does, and they need to be on point. You really have to be aware of what's going on. You're only out there for 20 overs, for goodness sake. Let's be alive and well.
I think that's the point he's made himself too, that everyone has to be focused on me, and that also catches up in a season where their fielding has been below par in these first 5 games. I wonder if that will change today.
Not necessarily the fielding, but the catching
Catching,
part.
yes. Sorry.
So, whether having MS as a captain will improve their catching, I don't think there is a correlation with that. But what I believe is that what could be the reason for Ashwin and Jadeja having better figures, because he rarely wants to use spin in the first 6. We are not talking of the Chepauk of the earlier years, wherein Ashwin used to bowl and the wicket used to turn and grip quite a bit. But here in recent times, he wants to use 6 overs of pace, and that's what he will do again by using Anshul Kamboj.
And that's something that comes through in the numbers as well. Ashwin has really struggled in the power play this year. We obviously saw Priyansh get after him the other day. But it looks like that was one of their plans under Gaikwad, was to go with Ashwin in the power play. And you can see their economy rate 15 in the power play from a sample of 5 overs, but it's not gone to plan. In the middle, he's actually gone all right. So as you say, Sanjay, I think we might well see that extra couple of overs of seam up front.
If I may just go deeper into this and try and now understand, in these 5 games, 4 that they've lost, whether tactical errors have been largely responsible for CSK's defeats.
Choice of bowlers, certainly, yes.
Okay.
Maybe a Punjab game when they were 82 for 5, you suddenly saw Jadeja bowling 2 overs for less than 10 being taken off.
Yes.
You saw a late use of maybe a Pathirana who was probably pushed to bowl the 12th over. So I think when you get the chance in a T20 game, you try and optimize the situation by putting in your best bowler so that you keep a team down, which probably they lacked in some of the games wherein there was a window of opportunity for them to really impose themselves on the game.
And I think that's I think you or someone on that panel in this week has said, what you will get from MS is you won't get the errors, whether it works or not. But there will be an error-free use of bowling resources. Sometimes can that just make a difference?
100%. And I think also we all going about it for batters, how important that first 6 overs, but for bowlers, for getting people out. Let's not forget that. It's still about getting people out, right? Yep. You're allowed to knock over 10 wickets. It seems crazy within sort of less than 20 overs. But if you've got guys that can do that, if it just shapes a little bit, again, talking to some batters and colleagues in the box, it only has to go a little bit, just a little bit in the air, a little bit late swinging. And batters who are trying to go big and moose it inside the first 6 only has to be slightly off. Inside edge, poles everywhere. We've seen that from Stark and Co. It's just to go a little bit. So that plays on guys' minds as well. And MS will be all over that.
This might be a good result actually at the toss. And I think MS is honest about having to bat first. This whole have not chased 180 plus in 6 years struck us like, like, wow, that's true. And they've won the IPL in these years too. but chasing clearly seems to be an Achilles. This may work for them, that batting first, whatever they do get here, but the team doesn't have the pressure of chasing a tall target with that stat on their mind.
See, MS is always very big on chasing. Irrespective of whatever has happened in the past, that doesn't bother him.
Okay.
He believes that T20 games, most of the time, you're better off chasing. Here he is doing that because he feels that the batting is not feeling confident about their own individual abilities as a unit. So he wants to free them up, and that could be a blessing in disguise.
Let's go. Power play time, right? Power play conversations to be had in our Maruti Suzuki Arena presents Power play conversations. Okay, Conway, Rachin, we presume the opening pair stays the same, but no Spencer Johnson, which means Vaibhav Arora will have to find someone else to bowl the new ball with, and that is likely to be...
They could go Harshit, they could go Moeen Ali. The thing that really interests me with Vaibhav is he has this unbelievably good record against the left-handers. I think it's because he bowls those big booming in-swingers to the right-handers, which then shape away from the lefties, and we've seen it a couple of times against...
There are your numbers, what's it look like? 8 wickets, 11 innings, economy 6, strike rate 7.
Wicket every 7 balls, unbelievably good. And if you think some of the batters he's got out as well, he's got a great record against that Sunrisers opening pair of Head and Abhishek. It's very good. It's a small sample, but I think he's going to try and swing it away.
That's why you're here, aren't you? No, I realise. That's great.
That's why there's a clone like that in every dugout now, being paid perhaps more than the head coach.
You rotter.
Sanjay might agree. Yeah, Conway, Rachin are walking out, I can confirm. Yeah. So Vaibhav Arora is indeed a matchup. Swings at the Chepauk? Does it swing as much at the Chepauk?
No chance.
That's why you need that blend.
What is it that the curator said, that there was some dew yesterday?
Last night, supposedly.
Which means what exactly? That there's never any dew the night after? Right, let's break it down though. MS talks about boundaries and sort of almost a measured start. Is that the message to the openers? What kind of start would CSK want on this big day?
Well, we've just been discussing about Conway's probably not likely to change his method, and he's a little more conservative. And I just think Rachin's developed his game, isn't he? So that first game against the MI, where he won and he hit the winning run and all that sort of thing, he's capable as well. He's capable of going big. And if the opportunity arises, and I think for CSK fans, they're going to hope that big time. It's going to be great because the pressure's immense. They don't want to lose 3 on the bounce. They've never lost 3 on the bounce at home, so it's a lot on.
My memory goes back to last year when Rachin was filling in at the top of the order, and he started with 37 of 15 and 46 of 20, and we thought this guy has got the power game, but that's not the Conway we've seen this time. Would you want Rachin to perhaps go to that sort of game again?
Rachin or Conway?
Rachin was the one who was striking at nearly 200 first couple of games, and we thought that's how he's going to play. Suddenly it looks like a different Rachin this season.
Well, I mean, I will be interesting to hear Danny's thoughts here, whether he's still cracked his T20 game. He's been a fabulous 50-over batter.
Right.
But still, I think to get a pulse and the sense of how you pace an innings in T20 cricket, he would in time realize what's the best method to do that at Chennai.
Danny?
And look at it. Look, 16 matches. It's not a lot, right? And the amount of cricket these guys play constantly on the circuit. And IPL is a different beast. And it allows you to cope with all the pressure and the noise, and some handle it better than others. So, yeah, he's still a work in progress, Rachin, totally.
Okay, let's get predictions. First innings scores from Matt, Sanjay and Danny. Matt, go first.
I've got a good feeling for Chennai tonight, so let's go 195.
Oh, what about all that luck that Moeen Ali brings with him? Okay, 195, that's serious score, you'd think. MS would take that. Sanjay Bangar.
I'd go a little bit under.
The conservative old men.
I'll go 179.
179.
I'm going 172.
172, okay. So that side of the couch is just
old man.
bringing it down. ESPN Cricinfo's forecaster, which tends to help us with what the score is, comes after the first ball. So I'll just try and fill some airspace, as Danny knows we tend to do in this job, and tell you, right, first runs on the board with Vaibhav Arora starting off. They've got a single, and the forecaster is... still loading. Damn it, this is not a good plug. Let's just close the show and come back to it. Anyway, thank you so much to Danny Morrison, Sanjay Bangar, Matt Roller. We see where this game stands at halftime on Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricinfo Timeout.
How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.